Oh, hey, I'm Hunter. Welcome to Harlem. Hello, everyone. My name is Hunter Ferguson. I'm born and raised Harlem, New York City. I've been practicing SGI Buddhism now for 8 years. My biggest challenge growing up, I was embarrassingly shy. So my mother was awesome. She raised me, with tons of love, and my father at that time was incarcerated. My mom was just a real source, of unity in my family. She did her best, and she did everything she could and was able to make sure that I had a great relationship with my father. She would drive long hours, making sure that we saw him. Everything that I do is a way to repay my debt of gratitude. College, honestly, I'm gonna keep it a buck, was a disaster. I just wasn't there in my maturity. I came back home that Christmas break and they called my mom. It's like, this guy has to be on academic probation, and I didn't go back. My mom was pissed. So I moved with my dad. I had to get out the household, and we really forged more of a bond and connection. Yeah, my dad was really important at that time. So my first experience hearing the chanting of Nam-myoho-renge-kyo, I was about 6 or 7 years old, and I was walking past my aunt's room. I remember hearing this vibration, and I just poked my head in. She didn't even notice I was there. And I said, okay, that's cool. I found out later that my grandmother was actually the first person in our family to chant Nam-myoho-renge-kyo, to really plant that seed. And fast forward years later, the young man who sparked this conversation with me, I think I must have shared with him how I really didn't like the job I was working at the time. And he invited me to come to my first SGI Buddhist meeting. It was great, and it was a small gathering, but I really felt the care from the people involved. Yeah, my first initial impressions on chanting Nam-myoho-renge-kyo, it helped me feel stronger. So as I deepened my SGI Buddhist practice to make this the foundation for my life, I felt better about myself. I think looking back, really exploring my potential about, what I could accomplish in my life, especially through music. I started really promoting myself and booking my own shows. Yeah, my cousins, A$AP Ferg, he came from, real notorious group out of Harlem, A$AP Mob. And so he started to really see my talent, and he just asked me, would I be down to really work with him? Really supporting, his career and what he got going on. I accepted happily, traveled the world with him, but a true challenge for me, and really kind of put me to the test. I woke up to a call one early morning from my mom, really informing me on the news. My grandmother, she contracted COVID. She was battling lung cancer and pretty much wiped her out. And the last word she uttered to me was Nam-myoho-renge-kyo. And that was my last exchange with my grandmother before she left. And so then shortly after that, my grandfather, he contracted COVID as well. And he was hospitalized. With working with my cousin, we were still traveling. But when my grandfather was able to come back home, I took responsibility to really take care of him. And I had a rigorous schedule from like 6 a.m. to about 9 p.m. each day, of feedings and medication. So this was, a true challenge for me. And, but through my practice, I felt privileged and honored to really, take on this burden for my family. And, I really supported my grandfather to his last moment. Yeah, I really owe that all to just my understanding of Buddhism, to take this responsibility and, be a pillar for my family. Yeah, my passion for music is strong.
I can sell you a dream, but you ain't getting sleep. The protests in the streets, but that ain't bringing peace. Glory of the evil, just smiling in my face. I'm not a common artist, disciple of sensei. Pushing, dancing, embrace the mental when my veil gave me the... What? My voice is my weapon. My voice is my weapon. My voice is my weapon.
Yeah, so growing up, and just overall who I am as a person, I've always felt like a very nice guy, and offering kind words. Thank you, have a nice day, hope you're doing well. Through chanting Nam-myoho-renge-kyo, it's like I can go deeper. I can really embrace this person, really understand, what they're struggling with and how can I help them win and also become happy. Helping others is the source of all of my strength. It boosts me, it just gives me the swag and the energy. So, helping others is why I'm seeking to create art that's meaningful. So with Buddhism and music, it just really made sense that if I want my sound and art to inspire others, am I living a life to inspire others? I just want to be lit and happy. That's my mission. I just really want to live dedicated to supporting my friends and my family and my community and the world.